What would you say if I told you that some of the healthiest individuals on the planet actually spend less money on food than you probably do? It feels a bit counterintuitive, doesn't it? There's a carefully curated list of just 15 foods that well-informed health professionals have been relying on quietly for years, almost like an unspoken secret. And interestingly, one of those items directly challenges the common beliefs you've likely heard about what it means to eat clean. Let's kick things off with eggs. Easily one of the most overlooked foods you probably already have sitting in your fridge. They don't get nearly enough credit for what they offer. A single large egg packs in about 6 grams of high-quality protein, meaning it contains all 9 essential amino acids your body isn't able to produce on its own. That's a pretty big deal for something so simple. And here's the surprising part. Each egg only costs around 25 cents. Good luck finding that kind of value in a steak. Now, you might be thinking, wait, what about cholesterol? That concern mostly comes from the fear-driven messaging back in the 1980s. Since then, that idea has been thoroughly disproven. It turns out the cholesterol you get from food has very little impact on your blood cholesterol levels. Researchers essentially revisited the claim, realized it didn't hold up, and quietly corrected course. But there's another benefit of eggs that rarely gets mentioned. They're rich in choline, which is a key nutrient for keeping your brain functioning well and your memory strong. This becomes especially important as you get older, particularly after 60. There's solid evidence behind this too. A 2018 study showed that eating 1 egg per day had no link at all to heart disease in otherwise healthy adults. None whatsoever. On top of that, eggs are incredibly practical. You can store them in your fridge for 3 to 5 weeks without worrying about them spoiling quickly, so there's no pressure to use them right away. And honestly, eggs are just getting us started. The next item on the list is even more affordable, and it even comes in its own natural packaging. Bananas deserve a spot on this list without question. At around 23 cents per pound, that's not some limited-time deal. That's the everyday price. Honestly, you'd struggle to find even a gumball that cheap these days. What makes bananas especially clever is their built-in design. They come with a natural peel that protects them, like nature-solved packaging long before companies like Amazon ever existed. No need for plastic, no worrying about them getting crushed in your bag. You just peel and eat. But the real value is what's inside. A single banana delivers roughly 400 milligrams of potassium, which plays a big role in keeping your blood pressure in check. As you get older, your arteries naturally stiffen over time, and potassium helps counteract that process. Here's something most people overlook. Those slightly green bananas that often get passed up are actually better for your digestive system. They're rich in resistant starch, which feeds the good bacteria in your gut without causing a spike in blood sugar. Sure, ripe bananas are sweeter and more appealing to most people, but the greener ones are doing more behind the scenes. And if your bananas start getting too spotty, don't toss them, just freeze them. Once frozen, you can blend them into a creamy, ice cream-like treat that's completely natural. No added sugar, no extra cost, just a simple dessert that even kids would happily eat without noticing the difference. And while we're on the topic of affordable foods that last a long time, the next item is a protein source that can sit unopened on your shelf for years without going bad. There's probably a can of black beans sitting somewhere in your pantry right now, maybe a little dusty, maybe tucked away behind a box of pasta you haven't touched in weeks. Easy to forget about, but surprisingly powerful. Inside that simple can, you're getting about 15 grams of fiber, which is roughly half of what you need in an entire day, all for less than $1. Not bad for something so overlooked. So what does that fiber actually do? Think of it like a small sponge traveling through your digestive system. As it moves along, it soaks up cholesterol before it has a chance to enter your bloodstream. Then, it carries that waste out of your body, meaning a lot of that cholesterol never gets absorbed in the first place. It's a pretty smart process for such an inexpensive food. Now, some people get concerned about the sodium content, and that's a fair point. But there's a simple fix that doesn't get talked about enough. Just rinse the beans. Running them underwater for about 30 seconds can wash away close to 40% of the added salt, which makes a noticeable difference right away. And here's where things get even better. When you combine beans with rice, you create a complete protein. That means you're getting all the essential amino acids your body needs, similar to what you'd find in meat like steak, but at a fraction of the cost, sometimes around 50 cents total. There's also research showing that people who eat beans about 4 times a week tend to have a 22% lower risk of heart disease, which is hard to ignore. But if you think that's impressive, wait until you hear about a breakfast option that does even more to help lower cholesterol. Oats come with a bit of a hidden advantage that most people don't even realize. It's something called beta-glucan. This isn't some trendy supplement or added ingredient. It's a naturally occurring, sticky type of fiber that turns an ordinary bowl of oatmeal into something that actively helps manage cholesterol. As it moves through your digestive system, beta-glucan forms a gel-like substance that binds to bile acids. In response, your liver pulls cholesterol out of your bloodstream to produce more bile. The end result? Lower LDL cholesterol levels, and you didn't need to take a single pill to get there. Now, the Food and Drug Administration is known for being extremely strict about what health claims companies can make about food. They don't hand those approvals out lightly. But oats are one of the few foods that have actually been cleared to say they can help reduce the risk of heart disease. That puts them in a pretty exclusive category. What's frustrating, though, is how people often spend $4 on those flavored instant oatmeal packets that are packed with sugar. At the same time, a basic container of old-fashioned oats costs about the same and gives you around 30 servings. That works out to roughly 13 cents per breakfast, which is less than what most people spend on their morning coffee alone. And despite what you might hear, steel-cut oats aren't nutritionally superior to regular oats. They contain essentially the same nutrients. They just have a chewier texture. So really, it comes down to personal preference. Stick with oats consistently, and within about 6 weeks, many people see their LDL cholesterol drop by around 5 to 10%. But oats aren't the only quiet overachiever out there. There's a green powerhouse waiting in your freezer aisle that deserves just as much attention. That green powerhouse? It's frozen spinach, and honestly, it might be the best bargain in the entire grocery store. Here's a twist that surprises a lot of people. Frozen spinach is actually more nutritious than fresh. Not just about the same, more nutritious. The reason is simple. Fresh spinach often spends days on trucks and shelves, slowly losing vitamins along the way. Frozen spinach, on the other hand, is picked and flash frozen within hours, locking in those nutrients like a little time capsule. Just 1 cup of cooked frozen spinach delivers a staggering 377% of your daily vitamin K requirement. That's not a typo. 1 cup. Vitamin K is crucial because it helps direct calcium to your bones, where it's needed, instead of your arteries, where it can cause harm. The price difference is almost laughable. A 10-ounce bag of frozen spinach costs about $2. To get the same amount of fresh spinach, you'd need roughly 6 cups, which would run you $4 or $5. And it tends to wilt into an unappetizing mush within a week. Frozen spinach, by contrast, stays perfectly usable for up to a year. Here's another bonus. Raw spinach contains oxalates, compounds that reduce calcium absorption. Cooking lowers those oxalates by around 40%, which means frozen spinach, blanched before freezing, actually makes the nutrients easier for your body to absorb. And speaking of nutrients your body really needs, there's a protein-packed food that most people completely overlook in the store. Let's talk chicken thighs, the cut most home cooks overlook because we've all been sold on the idea that boneless, skinless breasts are the healthy choice. Here's the little secret restaurants rarely share. Professional chefs hardly ever cook with chicken breasts. They're easy to overcook, and just a few extra minutes can leave you gnawing on something that tastes like cardboard. Thighs, on the other hand, are nearly foolproof. The extra fat acts like a natural bast, keeping the meat juicy even if you let it cook a little longer than planned. And the price difference is shocking. Bone-in thighs cost around $2 to $3 per pound, while chicken breasts run $4 to $6. Essentially, you're paying double for meat that's far less forgiving unless you cook it perfectly. Here's a pro tip that completely changed my approach. Buy bone-in, skin-on thighs. Cook them with the skin on to lock in moisture, then remove it before eating. This way, you get all the flavor but cut the calories in half. Bonus: the leftover bones are perfect for making homemade broth. Each thigh also delivers about 28 grams of protein, giving you a serious dose of muscle fuel. And once we've covered meals, there's the whole snacking game: how to eat between meals without undoing all your hard work. Carrots are basically nature's version of potato chips, except they actually do something good for you. That satisfying crunch you crave from a bag of Doritos? Carrots deliver the same snap, but with just 35 calories per cup compared to 150 for chips. Your jaw gets the workout, but your waistline doesn't suffer. Now, a lot of people get mixed up when it comes to carrots and vision. Yes, the beta-carotene in carrots converts to vitamin A, which is essential for healthy retinas. But no, eating carrots won't magically give you night vision like the old wartime stories claimed. That myth actually started during World War II, when British intelligence wanted to hide their radar technology from the Germans. They told the public that pilots were eating carrots to spot enemy bombers at night. The real benefit of carrots? They help slow down age-related macular degeneration, the leading cause of vision loss after 60. Here's a smart money move. Whole carrots cost about $1.50 for 2 pounds, while baby carrots go for $4 for the same weight. Those little cute carrots are just regular carrots cut down by machines. Store them correctly, and they'll last 3 to 4 weeks, longer than most New Year's resolutions. And speaking of foods that seem to last forever, next up is a protein that literally never goes bad. Peanut butter might just be the ultimate survivor food, something that could outlast everything else in your pantry and still taste amazing. 2 tablespoons pack about 8 grams of protein and cost roughly 25 cents. That's cheaper than any so-called healthy protein bar, which usually hides a dozen unpronounceable ingredients. Here's how to separate the good stuff from the junk. Check the ingredient list. Ideally, it should say only peanuts, maybe with a pinch of salt. If sugar appears in the top 3 ingredients, put it back. Natural peanut butter delivers the same heart-healthy monounsaturated fats found in olive oil, the kind that can actually improve your cholesterol rather than harm it. And the real standout feature? Shelf life. An unopened jar can last up to 2 years. 2 years. Your marriage might not survive that long, but your peanut butter will still be waiting for you. There's solid science behind it too. People who eat nuts or nut butter about 5 times a week have been shown to have a 35% lower risk of heart disease, a conclusion backed by decades of research, not marketing hype. Plus, the combination of protein and fat keeps you full for hours, cutting down on snacking and trips to the vending machine. And speaking of foods that last seemingly forever, there's a vegetable your great-grandmother swore by that modern shoppers have mostly forgotten. She could keep her vegetables fresh for up to 2 months without even needing a freezer. Her secret? Cabbage is one of the hardiest vegetables out there. It practically refuses to spoil. Seriously, toss a head of cabbage in your fridge, and it will outlast your gym membership, your New Year's resolutions, and probably even your patience with the neighbor's barking dog. A single head costs around $1.50 and provides 8 to 10 servings. Do the math. That's roughly 15 cents per serving for a nutrient-packed vegetable. But here's what many people overlook. 1 cup of raw cabbage delivers about 54% of your daily vitamin C requirement. That's the same vitamin people pay top dollar for in fancy supplements. And if you take it a step further and ferment that cabbage into sauerkraut, you're adding probiotics. Gut-friendly bacteria that often sell for $12 a bottle at the pharmacy. You've essentially made it yourself for next to nothing. Cabbage is part of the cruciferous family, meaning it's broccoli's cousin. Multiple studies link these vegetables to lower cancer risk, adding even more reason to include them in your diet. And while we're talking about vegetables, there's one canned option that actually outperforms its fresh counterpart once you process it correctly. Here's the surprising truth about fresh tomatoes. They look stunning on your counter. Bright red, perfectly ripe, Instagram-worthy, but nutritionally, they're actually not the most efficient choice. I know, it sounds counterintuitive, but cooking tomatoes completely changes the game. The magic ingredient is lycopene, the compound that gives tomatoes their red color. In raw tomatoes, most of it is locked away, making it hard for your body to use. Heat unlocks it. In fact, canned tomatoes provide about 5 times more accessible lycopene than fresh ones. That's not a minor boost. That's like upgrading from a bicycle to a motorcycle. Why does this matter? Research shows that men who regularly consume tomato products have roughly a 35% lower risk of prostate cancer. Lycopene is the superstar behind that benefit. A 28-ounce can cost about $1.50, and you can transform it into pasta sauce, soup base, shakshuka, or a curry foundation. Compare that to fresh tomatoes, which could cost $4 and spoil in under a week. Canned tomatoes, on the other hand, can sit in your pantry for up to 18 months. No rush, no guilt, and no unexpected green fuzz. And of course, tomatoes work best with a partner, a sidekick that's even cheaper but packs just as much punch. Brown rice is the partner I mentioned, and chances are it's already sitting in your pantry, quietly overlooked. So what sets brown rice apart from white? Simply put, it keeps its bran layer intact, which means you get about 3.5 grams of fiber per cup. White rice? Only 0.6 grams. That's like comparing a sturdy winter coat to a flimsy napkin. The real powerhouse, though, is magnesium. Many people over 50 are deficient and don't even realize it. 1 cup of brown rice provides around 86 milligrams, a mineral that helps regulate blood sugar. In fact, people who regularly eat whole grains have been shown to have about a 30% lower risk of developing diabetes. Yes, brown rice takes longer to cook, about 45 minutes. But here's an easy fix. Make a big batch on Sunday, store it in the fridge, and reheat portions throughout the week. Problem solved. A 2-pound bag costs roughly $3, which yields around 20 servings. That's just 15 cents a serving. Your grandkids probably spend more than that on a single gumball. And speaking of foods that keep you full, there's a protein-rich dairy option that's a favorite among both bodybuilders and grandmothers alike. Greek yogurt is a food both bodybuilders and grandmothers love, and for good reason. Here's why it stands out. Regular yogurt gives you about 8 grams of protein per cup, while Greek yogurt packs 17 grams in the same serving, more than double the muscle-building power. That's because the straining process removes liquid, concentrating all the nutrients and protein. But protein isn't even the coolest part. The live cultures in Greek yogurt actually help your body absorb more calcium from the foods you already eat. For anyone concerned about osteoporosis, that's a major benefit. Then there's the price difference. Those single-serving flavored cups can cost $1.50 each, while a 32-ounce tub of plain Greek yogurt runs about $4. That's 4 times the yogurt for less than triple the cost. Just add your own banana slices or a touch of honey, and you're set. Recent studies even suggest that the probiotics in yogurt can support better mood through what's called the gut-brain connection, meaning your breakfast is literally talking to your brain. And speaking of foods that influence your whole body, there's a tiny 50-cent bulb that cardiologists wish more patients paid attention to. Garlic, costing just about 50 cents, is one of the easiest ways to support healthy blood pressure. Here's the science. When you crush garlic, a compound called allicin forms. This powerful substance relaxes your blood vessels, often lowering blood pressure by 5 to 8 points. Some people spend $50 a month on supplements that claim the same effect, but garlic does it naturally. Here's a trick most people overlook. After chopping or crushing your garlic, let it sit for about 10 minutes before cooking. It sounds odd, but those 10 minutes allow the beneficial compounds to fully develop. Throw it straight into a hot pan, and you destroy about half of the good stuff. There's more. Regular garlic eaters tend to catch fewer colds, and if they do get sick, they recover faster. Grandma's garlic soup remedy wasn't just folklore. Science has finally caught up. 1 bulb of garlic can flavor a week's worth of meals. Store it somewhere cool and dark, not the fridge, and it will last for months. The strong smell on your breath? That's sulfur compounds escaping through your lungs. In a way, you're literally breathing out medicine. And speaking of nutrient powerhouses, there's an orange vegetable that delivers roughly 400% of a critical vitamin for just about $1. Sweet potatoes, about $1 per pound, are a nutritional powerhouse. 1 medium potato delivers roughly 400% of your daily vitamin A. That's not a typo. Your body converts the beta-carotene in the vibrant orange flesh into vitamin A, which supports your immune system and keeps your skin looking healthy rather than leathery. What makes sweet potatoes even more interesting is that they're actually less likely to spike your blood sugar compared to regular white potatoes. Sounds counterintuitive, right? Something that tastes almost like dessert ends up being gentler on your system. And here's the magic touch. Roast a sweet potato in the oven for about an hour, and the heat naturally converts its starches into sugars. The result is a naturally sweet treat that tastes like candy. No added sugar necessary. My dentist would be thrilled. Storage is simple too. Keep them in a dark pantry, and they'll last a month without refrigeration or special containers. Just a little patience. And finally, there's one last item on this list. A liquid so potent it fights inflammation almost like a tiny dose of medicine. Olive oil, the same golden liquid people have been drizzling over food for over 6,000 years, turns out to be more than just tasty. Those ancient cooks were onto something. Here's the part most people miss. Extra virgin olive oil contains a compound called oleocanthal. Try saying that 3 times fast. It acts in the body similarly to ibuprofen, not as strong, but enough that scientists took notice. Daily olive oil users see remarkable results, a 40% lower risk of stroke. That's not a minor difference. That's the difference between remembering your grandkids' names and forgetting them. A good bottle costs around $8 to $12, which may seem pricey until you realize it can replace butter, margarine, and those mysterious cooking sprays. One bottle does the work of 4. Here's the catch, though. Heat and light destroy its beneficial compounds. Those clear bottles sitting on sunny store shelves? All style, no substance. Keep your olive oil in dark glass in a cool pantry, and you preserve that liquid gold. 15 items, 1 shopping cart, and hundreds saved. Your body will be the one saying thanks. When you step back and look at this list, it becomes clear that eating healthy doesn't have to be complicated, expensive, or trendy. The foods we've covered, from eggs and bananas to olive oil and sweet potatoes, are humble, affordable, and widely available, yet they pack an extraordinary nutritional punch. These are the staples that health experts and longevity enthusiasts have quietly relied on for decades, and the science behind them is undeniable. What ties them together is more than just cost or convenience. It's their ability to nourish your body efficiently, protect your heart, support your brain, and keep your immune system strong, all without breaking the bank. Many people get lost in the pursuit of the latest superfood or spend unnecessary money on supplements, thinking that health comes in a bottle or a fancy package. In reality, the power lies in simple, natural foods prepared thoughtfully. Eggs provide complete protein and choline for your brain, bananas deliver potassium in a ready-to-eat package, and beans give fiber and plant-based protein at a fraction of the cost of meat. Whole grains, cruciferous vegetables, and nutrient-rich staples like garlic and sweet potatoes work quietly in the background, strengthening your heart, bones, and metabolic health. Even pantry heroes like olive oil and canned tomatoes show that you don't need perfection or fresh produce every day to get maximum benefits. By building meals around these foundational items, you create a diet that is practical, affordable, and sustainable, yet powerful enough to prevent chronic disease and promote long-term wellness. This approach is about working with nature, not against it, and about realizing that nutrition doesn't have to be flashy. It just has to be smart. The truth is simple. You don't need to spend more to be healthier. You just need to choose the right foods, store them properly, and let their natural benefits do the heavy lifting for your body.